Well, howdy. This is old Tennessee Neal again, and it looks like I'm dwarfed by my drum set. Bet you didn't know I played drums. Let me get my microphone here so y'all can hear me a little bit better. Yeah, it's been 15 years since I sat behind a drum set. So I'm gonna have a little fun for a minute. Then I'm gonna tell y'all a story about Professor I.B. Dumb. So hang in here. Oh, by the way, before I forget my Tennessee mountain proverb, it goes something like this. Let me think now. I've already forgot what it is. Hey, listen. If you live in the past, you're going to walk through the present and walk through your future. Think about that. Let's see what I can do. Like I said, it's been 10 years or more. Oh, that wasn't part of the solo. Let's me try and get this microphone out of the way. Well, let's see what I can do. Well, it goes something like that. Didn't use my snare because I gave the snare drum the day off and it went down to Pioneer Square to look at the Christmas tree. I want to tell y'all a story now. First, let me open up the Bible because it's based on 1 Corinthians. Let me turn it around. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 27, 28. Let's see, it's around here somewhere. 27 here, hang on. I like it when they had them verses separate. Hey, listen to this. But God chose what is foolish in the world to shame the wise. God chose what is weak in the world to shame the strong. That be the truth, let me tell you. Now, instead of telling you the story, I get lost. I'm going to read this story I wrote a while back. It's called You Can Always Learn from a Crazy Person. Professor, Doctor of Divinity, I.B. Dumb, world-renowned famous author of Christian books, senior pastor of the First Bible Righteous Church, which happened to be the largest church in Nashville, Tennessee, was driving down Murfreesboro Road to a pastor's conference in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which he was going to be the keynote speaker. He was late. Now, if he was late, why wasn't he taking Interstate 24? Simple answer. This story happened before I-24 was invented. The senior pastor blamed his lateness on his secretary, Sarah Jane McNabb. He was fussing to the dash on his car. If that dumb secretary hadn't sent that stranger into my office just as I was about to leave, I wouldn't be late. She should have told the man that if he wanted to be saved, then he should have waited until Sunday when I gave the invitation. But no, I had to lead him to Christ in my office. Well, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, Pastor, I be dumb, just fussed at his dashboard in his Cadillac. Suddenly, the irate pastor heard and felt the dreaded sound any driver dreaded to hear, the sound of a flat tire. God, why are you doing this to me? Now I'm going to really be late, the angry pastor snapped at God. He pulled over, got out, opened the trunk, pulled out the spare and the jack. He fussed at God as he jacked up the left rear tire. All of a sudden, he heard a voice. Better take your coat off and vest off or you'll get 'em dirty, the voice shouted. Huh? What? Old I be dumb said in confusion as he looked toward heavens. He thought God was talking to him. Again, he heard the voice say, better take your coat and vest off or you'll get 'em dirty. Then the doctors and the nurses up in the trees will put you in the tight room. The voice was coming from behind I be dumb. He looked at the source and saw an old man sitting on a low wall. The man was skinny as a rail. He wore a faded red and black flannel shirt. A pair of old size too large overalls covered his frame. He had on a pair of scuffed half boots, also a size too large. A battered straw hat bounced on his head when he nodded. The crooked stem of a pipe was stuck in his mouth. Well, that must be a character. Behind the man, there was a big sign that said, Tennessee, let me start that again, Middle Tennessee Psychiatric Hospital. That's what the locals called Central State. The man kept looking up in the trees again. He says, better take your coat and vest off so you won't get 'em dirty. Them doctors up in the trees will put you in the tight room for sure. The tight room ain't a good place to be. It only has a gallon can for using the bathroom in. The learned preacher laughed and said, why me, oh God? Then he had an idea. Say, mister, he said to the man on the fence, I'll pay you $10 to change the tires. Can't, the old man says. I can't. What do you mean you can't? Can't go past this wall I'm sitting on. If I do, them doctors in the trees will put me in the tight room. Besides, Mary Ann will get mad at me. Who's Mary Ann? The preacher asked. Why, she's my wife. She's sitting right here beside me. Can't you see her? I be dumb, muttered something not so nice, and went back to changing the tire. The old man continued to sit on the wall, puff his pipe, and look up in the trees. The famous author got the lug nuts off of his car tire, placed them in a hubcap. Then he put the tire on and started fitting the lugs. When he did, he kicked out his leg, and what happened next would cause a preacher to cuss. When he kicked out, he connected with the hubcap, sending all the lug nuts down into a gutter. Oh no, the preacher yelled as he watched the hubcap when lug nuts disappeared down the drain. The frustrated, super angry pastor got out a lot of cuss words even a sailor wouldn't use. The man says, told pastor, I be dumb. Preacher, you ain't supposed to cuss. How do you know who I am? I be snapped. Why, me and Mary Ann watch your TV program every Sunday. I be dumb was silent for a minute and said, I tell you what, I'll give you and Mary Ann $20 if you go down the drain and get my hubcap and nuts. Can't, the man said. Can't do it. Oh, yeah, that's right. You'll go to the tight room if you leave the fence you're sitting on. No, can't go down that drain, the man said, shaking his head. Any fool can see me and Mary Ann are way too big to go down into that drain. The pastor let out a frustrated growl. I guess I'll have to walk to the gas station to get help. I'm going to miss the conference and the keynote speaker. That's what I am, and they're going to not have me speak. And I can't understand why God's letting this happen to me, because without me, they just can't get along. The man drew on his pipe, sending smoke skyward. Tell you what, he said, why don't you take a lug nut off of each of the other tires, put them on the spare. That way you'll be able to drive to the gas station safely. The learned pastor was silent. Then he took a lug nut from the other tires and put them on the spare. When he finished, he started to thank the man and give him $10. But the man was walking toward the hospital buildings. His arm was stretched out as if around someone. He looked up into the trees as he walked. Now the humbled pastor watched the man walk back to the buildings. Well, Lord, I just had a lesson I really needed, he said. I'll be done around at the conference. He gave his keynote sermon. He changed the theme of his sermon from what can I do for the church to you can always learn from a simpleton. Well, how about that? He learned about them lug nuts. He would have never thought that. Well, anyhow, I hope you enjoyed it. And my crazy drumming. So we'll see you next time. All right, God bless you, and have yourself a Jesus-filled day. Let me turn me off now.